All right, this time my mic is working because the last 3 times I've been on mute. But Rona, welcome. It's so good to see you. It's
I
when did we do our podcast?
I don't know. I think it was like a few months ago,
A
probably
few
2
months
months
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Well, why not, for anyone who doesn't know you, why don't you give us a quick intro on who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into today's conversation, which I'm really excited for.
Sure. So I'm Rona Barnett Pierce. I am I guess, former recruiter because I haven't recruited in 6 months. So I'm calling myself former recruiter. I
We
teach
still we still welcome you. You're still
I teach recruiters and recruiting teams how to use and leverage video to like attract qualified candidates and aligned opportunities. That's really what I do. So a lot of branding and content strategy for recruiters and recruiting teams.
And so when you were recruiting, were you doing a lot of this as part of your recruitment strategy as well? Like how did you get into this?
Yeah, definitely. I saw how it worked for me. I like to tell people it's like so I used to be a software engineer, and when I moved into recruiting, which I loved, I didn't realize how much I would have to do to gain people's trust. And I'm an introvert, so I'm not the person who's going to be like sending the best cold messages out there, or definitely not cold calling anyone. I've never done a cold call, and I've been doing this for years, but I still had to be successful, right? I still had to like get my job done. So I quickly learned that creating content and getting in front of like more people is really the best way to gain the trust. And people would feel like they would always say, and using video, right, people would always say like, oh, I feel like I already know you, and we've never even met.
Well, let's talk a little bit about video because right now LinkedIn, which is a wonderful platform that I love and sometimes hate, but anyway, LinkedIn is really pushing video, and so I've been hearing a lot more stories about people going mega viral, getting millions and millions of views. But I also know that when you create video, not every video goes viral. So talk to me about like what really should matter in terms of when you're starting to create video, as you're creating video, is virality the goal? If not, like what is the goal of video? What should the goal be when you're creating video for social media, if we focus on that?
I think the goal should never be to go viral, especially for people in our industry, right? You're not trying to appeal to the masses. You should be trying to appeal to a specific target, right? Candidate, client, opportunities. So, my goal and what I recommend to my clients is never to try to go viral. It's to really speak directly to the people that you want to speak to. That should be your goal. If you go viral, I guess that's a plus for some people. I know I hate it. Um, yeah, it shouldn't be going viral.
Yeah, I think look, there's ways that you can capitalize on going viral, but it's hard to control going viral, right? Like I think one thing I've noticed, even on LinkedIn, is I've had some videos that have, gone viral because they're actively pushing it, but it's really hard to decipher what is gonna go and what's not. So you can't really control that. But what you can control is, like you said, your message. So give us some tips on like how you can start to understand what those prospects, candidates, clients, like how do you get in the mind and how do you start to create content that they actually care about?
So that's a great question. I mean, as recruiters, we're talking to people all day, right? You talk to clients, you talk to candidates. When you're talking to candidates, they ask you questions at the end of interviews or throughout the interview, right? So that I would always use that. I would always write those down and create content around that because that's what they want to know. And especially if multiple people were asking me similar questions about the company or the role, that's the type of content I created. So you're always talking to people. The same with clients. They have questions. You're always talking to people. Listen to them. I specifically have like a list of problems, I call them, for that my target audience has. And I try to make sure that every video I create, every piece of content speaks directly to one of those problems.
Ah, I love that. It's crucial, and it goes to I think there's a culture right now on LinkedIn, but it's across social where it's about self promotion. a lot of like, look what I've done, look at this, and it's easy to fall into that trap. I totally get it. But really, it is about speaking to the problems that your clients, your prospects' problems, speaking to them and bringing value, right, and being that value add. That's what people are looking for. What about in terms of of tech? Like, what are some of your favorite tech to use, or like, are you using tech within your process?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people to keep it simple. You don't have to have like a studio lights and all these things. I mean, I use for the most part an iPhone. Um, I have a dedicated iPhone that I just use for content. I also have cameras and stuff like that, but really you like our phones are so powerful, the cameras that they have, so you can just use that.
Yeah.
Things that I always tell people to invest in are a microphone, and they're not that expensive, but the audio is really, really important in a video. It doesn't matter how great it looks or what you're saying if people can't really hear it, or if there's like distortion or like lots of background noise and stuff
Like wind, right?
yes, that kills your videos.
No,
Um,
100%. Well, I was gonna ask everybody in the audience. Let us know in the audience, um, are you doing video, on LinkedIn? And if you are not doing video, let us know why. What's your opinion on why people what holds people back? Like, obviously, you're coaching a lot of people on how to do video. You're working with them throughout the process. Are there, like, common trends and themes that you see with recruiters and, like, why they wouldn't start video? Like, what are some of the common trends that you see with your clients?
yeah, so a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm not always camera ready, like wearing makeup and stuff like that." I'm like, "Come on, they're filters. Half of the time I'm not wearing makeup on 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 camera." And then also people don't know what to say. It's so interesting to me that I work with people who are great at written content and they don't know how to make that short and punchy for a video. And I think that's really what stops a lot of people.
So someone I and for some reason, LinkedIn user who just said that's just because your privacy settings are on. Let us know, who that is. But it says 4 out of 5 people I've told to post videos have gone viral, million plus views. Danielle, is that you? No, Danielle on the show, and she's got LinkedIn user. Shame on you, Danielle. All right, so Danielle said 4 out of 5 people I've told to post videos have gone viral. What million views? Um, it's so interesting you say that though about not knowing how to translate the written to the video, because I think that, like, to me, like, that the you want to have something written out, but you don't want to be unnatural. You want to be natural. Um, but it's so interesting to me going from video. Like, what do you think the major difference is? Like, what are some of the mistakes that you see where you're like, hey, look, you're great at written content, but here are the things you need to work on video to get good.
I think with written content, you really have to over explain stuff because there's not a visual and people aren't really hearing. So it tends to be longer. On video, it's the opposite. You really need to get right to the point and you need to say things like really quickly for people to like, because no one's sitting there and watching a 4 minute, 5 minute video on LinkedIn. It's not going to happen. So I think that's really what most of the people I work with struggle. It's like, okay, how do I say this same thing, but shorter?
Yeah, I love it. And look, I don't know. There's another change that's happened too the past few days. I don't know if you heard about this, but YouTube, they used to have shorts capped at a minute, and now they're capping it at about 3 minutes. So, are you exploring, like, other avenues? Obviously, LinkedIn's a huge focus, right, for employee or for prospects and candidates. What about other platforms? Like, how do you kind of approach that with clients? Are you saying, hey, try and just repurpose content across platforms? Is that not really a focus? What are your thoughts on that?
At first, I like literally danced in my office when I heard that shorts is going to be longer than a minute because oh my gosh, I've been waiting for that.
I
But
know.
yeah,
Same here.
the content I sometimes I'll post the exact same video on multiple platforms, but at the end of the day, you start to know your audience on different platforms and you know what things work. Like on Instagram, no one really wants to hear about specific things where I'm saying like recruiters, this, none of that content ever works for me on Instagram. If I'm saying something more broadly appealing, that works. If I'm talking about something more like I did a podcast episode recently about like reinvention and things like that that could apply to more people, then that works on Instagram. YouTube, it's different. Really, it's knowing your audience on each platform and understanding that not all the content is going to work on each platform. Some platforms, I do a shorter version of a video that on LinkedIn might be a minute and a half. Well, if I do it on TikTok, it might be 30 seconds or something like that. So it really, you have to know your audience on each platform. And that's what I do with clients. We like look at what works on each platform before deciding what to post on each.
Amazing. I mean, so if someone was, outside of just giving you a call and working with you, if someone was like looking to dabble and maybe get started for themselves and they just want to test the water, what's your advice for people in just getting started? Like, what should they do? What should they not do? What should they focus on? What should they not focus on?
I think the easiest way to start, look at one of your written posts that has worked well and turn that into bullet points. So let's say you're going to say, I don't know, whatever, you say a paragraph. You know, when you write on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
write a paragraph of everything. Take,
Poetry. That's what they
yeah,
call
take
it.
the first sentence of each of those paragraphs and just say it as a bullet point and use your hook and your call to action. Bam, you've got a video. You've shortened your post. It will most likely work well because it worked well in long format. So if you do that in a shorter format and just video and just people seeing you, just straight camera to like your face to the camera and just speak those things, that's a great way to start.
What about if someone, like, would you recommend then somebody who hasn't done any content? Are you recommending people start with written content versus jumping into video? Or would you say, "Hey, just even if you haven't written content, just go for it?"
If you haven't written content, just go for it on video. It's so much easier, in my opinion, to start with video. You learn so much more about your audience. You get immediate feedback of what works and what doesn't work. Because written content, to be honest, I know most people don't read the full thing. They just skim through it and
I
they
know.
like. So you don't really know if people actually resonated with that content or not. But a video, people watch it and the comments you get are usually more like related to what you actually were talking about in the video.
Well, I was gonna look too, like, even the metrics on videos, one of the things I always say is, like, you get to actually see the watch time. So, like, on a written post, you don't see the read time, but on a video, you see the watch time, and then what you could do is you could divide how many views and the watch time and figure out what the retention is, and is there a drop-off point? So, like, you just can't do that with written posts. So, I think it's a skill which everybody should learn. Obviously, you believe the same thing. So how could people get a hold of you? They want to work with you, Rona. Like, what is the best way to get a hold of you and have you as a coach? Because obviously, you bring a lot of strategy, insights. You're doing it. You've been in the recruitment seat. You know what works. You know what doesn't. So, how can people reach you?
So, easiest way, I hang out every day on LinkedIn, Rona Barnett Pierce.
Yes,
I also, there's a QR code on the screen. Anyone who says that they saw me on the HR Morning Show, I'll do special pricing for you. So it's ronapierce.com/HR Morning Show. Have
amazing.
really cool things going on that I would love to chat with people about.
Evan, do me a favor, drop that in the chat if you can, or someone drop that in the chat, and then yes, use the QR code right now. I recommend working with Rona. Clearly, strategic, knows what she's doing, is bringing video all the time as well. So you're personally doing this stuff. So if you're looking to get in the video, you're in recruitment, you're in HR, you're looking to build your personal brand. I cannot recommend enough getting in the video and highly recommend checking out Rona's resources as well. So thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to meet on the HR morning show again. Are you before we finish here? Are you going to any live events coming up? Like, where can people meet you in real life?
I am not sure. So for now, I think the next one is probably TA week in
Awesome.
February. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll be there. I'll be there live as well, so we get to meet again, which is and this time spend a little bit more time as well.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
amazing, Rhoda. Well, great to have you on here, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.